Welcome to Common Unity, the podcast that unveils the unique life stories shaping the individuals of today.
Often, it's scary, right? When you're going to start a business, and I've had a few people be like, how do you just take the leap?
When you play to your strengths, you experience ease, excellence, and enjoyment.
Yeah, right time, right place, but you put yourself in that place. That luck never happened without all the work that led to you being in that place at that time.
Who cares how people look at them? Whatever keeps you ticking, until you get to the next thing and figure it out.
Join us as we unravel the triumphs, challenges, and pivotal moments that have crafted the past of our guests. I'm Jason Fox.
And I'm Nick Fennell.
Let's get into the show. So all you've ever known of property. Basically, you woke up and you're painting when you were 2, as long as you could hold a paintbrush, you're doing something.
So as I said, I found the most rewarding and fitting career, and having a team even from there to grow. I just enjoy people. So then it's not become about property management, it's like people management really.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but what are your 5
Yeah,
values?
no, please do.
Put you on the spot, boom.
So we have positivity, transparency, communication, proactive, and one of my favourites is business focused. I think I find it very inspiring, just being able to connect with people and just then have an opportunity to talk about what I've gone through, because until you sort of messaged it to me, I was actually thinking in my head, okay, what sort of challenges or what have I gone through? And then all of a sudden it's kind of brought me back into this beginning stages of what it was like as a young girl, and how actually lots of things have just transformed into where I am today and continually growing, So, yeah, just a pleasure to be able to just talk about this stuff, really.
Well, that's a perfect intro into the podcast, I think. So welcome to Common Unity, Rose.
It's wonderful to be here, and obviously, to talk with your audience as well. So,
thanks
awesome.
for coming us. So Rose owns a company called Rentlink here in Tauranga, and I initially met you through BNI and through people that were in my BNI group.
Yes.
As a little amateur investor myself, I'm quite intrigued as to where this conversation is going to go. But where does life start? How do you get into owning a business called Rentlink?
Yeah, so Rentlink Property Management, I've been doing it for the last probably coming into 9 years. It's amazing how fast time does fly. But pretty much back to the beginning is my parents, I've been born and bred pretty much here in Tauranga, and my parents owned quite a large property portfolio. So ever since I was a young girl, I was sort of around property. I was around people. My mum, I would sort of highlight as a very good people person. So at supermarkets, she would always be able to whip up a conversation with the next person. Anybody that was in her presence would gravitate towards her, because she just has such a beautiful, approachable nature, and just that people component that you could just trust. So being around a mum that was just like that was inspiring, like a superhuman. She had 5 of us under 5, so running a household and also just being this super woman was just very inspiring. And then my dad, very business structured, so had a lot of, I listened to a lot of Robert Kiyosaki when he was younger, and then became investing in his in the early 2000s, when I was a really, really young girl. So just built his wealth and built what he and mum had for their property portfolio, and then just as a young girl attending properties, going through that, and naturally just found my way into property management, because it's pretty much I enjoy people and I love property, and it's actually just been the most rewarding career for me. Yeah.
Amazing. First of all, Kiyosaki's here in 3 weeks. If you don't know, he's in Auckland, so we're going to that.
Cool. So awesome.
You should definitely get tickets.
Yeah,
and
cool.
Get up if you go.
Good to know.
Yeah. So your parents were property investors.
Yeah, it's just So just investors here in Tauranga. So grew their portfolio to quite a large number, about 30 homes.
Oh, beautiful. That is a good size.
Yeah. So and did it all self-taught through the books, and just I think I remember a story where my dad had gone to an auction room and pretty much brought every house out of that. Well, back in the day, the 2000s. But I think I credit a lot to sort of seeing that hard work. I have a very Dutch background, so my grandparents came on the boats in the 1950s. Both of my parents are Dutch, and I think just that work ethic, and just also how they treat people is with dignity and respect, but also they know how to work hard, and they're not people to sit around. As young kids, we weren't even allowed to sit around. We were always expected to be doing something. So I guess that nature around having that ambition or going through that was quite important.
So you learned property maintenance from like 2 years on.
Yeah. Well, we're equipped with a toolbox with us, and I think just little things, back in the day, Dad was a handyman, you did your own stuff. So seeing what Dad would do, and then Mum was the very people component. So for them, they created a combo. To be honest, look, back in the day, they didn't have good tenants, and I think that's what helped structured Rentlink to what it is knowing it all starts at the beginning of every relationship, right? Be it in a personal relationship, business relationship, any relationship that you have, it all starts at the beginning. So back in the day, some of the tenants, got themselves into some debt, possibly didn't pay their rent. These were abandoned homes. To be able to, as a young girl, come in, we would have to clean this property up. Sometimes I'd be in the courtroom and beside Dad, just those sort of things, just second nature around what it was to be a property investor, and the struggles. So not everything is as gleaming as what it appears. There is a lot of hard work that has got them to where they are as well. Yeah.
This is what's the issue with the whole tall poppy thing in New Zealand is that, fuck those homeowners and those investors. Like, you realise those investors are putting $150 out of their own pocket to subsidise your rent each week.
Yeah.
Because their mortgage is dearer than what they're charging you in rent.
And everybody, look, as you can imagine, I think COVID was a huge highlight of it. Each owner has different financial background depending on their investment. So it showed and highlighted some were already struggling and they couldn't offer any support because they didn't have any support for themselves for their investment. Others were maybe a bit more financially, sound, so they could offer some rent relief. And for me to be part of that, facilitating in a very stressful and an unknown circumstances to help facilitate this generosity, I'm just so proud. We've got an amazing client base here in Rentlink, that we could facilitate a lot of that generosity for both sides, and be transparent around tenant and owner sort of situation was something that was so scary, of the unknown of what is to come. So, just a bit of a credit to sort of building those relationships, knowing what is expected. And then for me, coming from a background where not everything is picture perfect, to knowing it all starts at the beginning. So making sure that those references are checked, those background checks are all ticked off, making sure they're the suitable fit for what this family or person or anybody is looking for their home. So it's a very rewarding process when you know that you've made that connection between homeowner, property and tenant, and everybody is happy because then I'm happy. So
less stress for you, eh?
Absolutely.
Because you're just piggy in the middle. You've got tenants that are upset and you've got a landlord that's upset, and this landlord doesn't want to pay for this because they think they damaged it and vice versa, and you've got to negotiate them both. Basically, you're a lawyer.
Yeah.
And on that, guys, it's also super important to us that this gets out to more people. So if you can and you got some value from it, please share it on your social media, tag your friends in it, send it to someone that you think may get some value from it.
So that if we can get on good guests and ask them great questions, then hopefully everyone that's listening gets some value out of it, and we can keep bringing on better guests with the experiences that you need help with.
It's one of the categories I would associate a property, like we're a counsellor, we're a lot of things, because we're just dealing with people. And I think at the end of the day, being an active listener is so vital, and being that sounding board, but, for an owner and a tenant. But then we're bound by the Residential Tenancies Act. So we're very much to the structure and the process around that stuff. So, for me, there is no black and white. This is what it is, and I'm here to educate and guide you into what that looks like. I can understand you've got your personal preference around this situation, but I'm here to be on your, act in your best interest to inform you of, hey, look, yes, I can hear the frustration around that, but this is actually what needs to come. And this is the positive approach that we need to take. So it's not just, hey, look, I've heard you. It's actually, let's make an action plan that you're on board with as well. So, hey, at this moment, this is very distressful. I can so empathise around that. That is hard. It's hard to hear. It's hard to be part of. But what we can do is go, hey, look, what can we do to create a more positive and proactive solution around that situation? So
Very
just
well
yeah.
said. Very well
You're
said.
so cool, calm, and collected. And one thing that really stood out, and what
I need to employ you.
and like you
That's what-
articulate
yeah.
sentences so well. And one thing that stood out just then was when you said that your dad, like you've been in the courtroom with your dad, which sounds like it was a neat, like they were obviously having to try and get rent
Yes.
as a young girl. And then, so that sounds like great experience. Because I remember when I was little, I just knew that my parents went to work. Never knew, like I knew like what the name of what they did was.
Yeah.
But I'd never be able to picture what they did from day to day. And I can imagine if my dad or my stepdad were in court, there's no way they're bringing me along for the experience, and I'd never gain that.
But it's like I was just there in the back room, so it was like I was there, but like you're not there in the front.
Yeah,
you're just
yeah.
there in the
You're
room, in the
still-
corner, sort of thing. But I
You're
think
still
for
absorbing
me,
it.
it's
Yeah.
just second nature, right? So it's just allowed me to get to where I am, where I absolutely enjoy every part of the challenges and the journey of what being in property management is. So yeah.
Which is amazing to see you sitting here smiling, really, because I think of property management and I go, man, what a hard role that is. Having
Yeah.
to deal with people and that won't move out of a home and all the rest of it.
And that's the challenge, right?
Yeah.
So but it's also some owners are very stubborn in their ways as well. So again, I think for me, that's where that counsellor role comes in. It's just trying to digest what that feeling is and understand that journey. You know, hey, look, for an owner that can also provide some challenging confrontation to us, trying to digest what it is, you know. And I think for me is we have a very fresh and modern approach to property management here in Tauranga, and I think when you're associated property manager in our industry, you know, they are very got a power trip. They really try and dictate things. I think for me, I'm branching out as let's be just a human, right? You've got feelings, I've got feelings, I'm doing my job. Hey, look, how can I educate you to do this better, or how do we improve this? And we want you to enjoy your home. How do we make that experience good? So tenants are a vital process in making sure that they're able to feel connected with us, more so as well with the owner. So then we're just that happy. So it's taking that approach around that, what the property manager does, to making it actually, we're humans doing a job and we enjoy what we do, you know. So talk to us, you know.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's a really cool approach. Because I've been renting quite a lot around Tauranga over the last 5-10 years sort of thing.
Yeah.
And some of the managers are just like they're non-existent, or they come around and because there's so many people applying for property in Tauranga, they don't really have to work that hard to fill the house if they want to.
Yeah.
And so like hearing you talk about it, this holistic approach to it and trying to find the middle ground between everyone's really, I don't know, it's super positive and exciting.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to help, right? And that's it. We're just trying to help, but I can't help everybody. So sometimes that relationship means that you also have to, you know, a prospective tenant has to also come to the party, because what I also find, and this is the frustration in the industry, is we have a viewing, let's say, scheduled for 1:00 on Thursday. Yes, 30 people have confirmed they're going to attend. We only have 10 that show up. So the society around, hey, look, you know, and we might have maxed it at that, you know, a cap, because we can only handle so many people at once. It's kind of going, hey, look, you know, I know as an industry, that's the biggest frustration, is like people taking some spots that they're not even turning up. They're not even apologising. We do a lot of that work in the expectation that they're going to turn up, and they don't. So we try and accommodate, but then sometimes it comes to a point where it needs to have their support as well, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but we are different. I think we do, I think, have, you know, challenges probably going through and understanding a property manager's workload is a lot. Our industry has evolved so much over the last couple of years with compliance and legislation and great positive things that our industry needed, right, to set that line. And the good old Kiwi attitude of you can do it yourself, it really, in property management, you can't, like, you can.
You're too emotionally connected to the valuation.
And to be honest, you know, it just, yes. But you know, it's really like there is just so much layers to what we do now. What we've done is we've done a modern approach, because otherwise our industry, the statistics around us burning out is high. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of things that we're doing task orientated to try and keep up, where a landlord's calling us, a tenant's calling us, but then also we're doing this task, we're at a viewing, you can't get a hold of me, but I'm doing this, I'm trying to be and doing all of this, I'm following up on maintenance, and I'm doing an inspection, or, you know. So for us, we've identified that burnout is something that I'm not here to encourage. What I've done is actually separate the roles that are made up of a property manager. So now we have a property manager with an inspection manager. And what that allows is skill set. An inspection manager, attention to detail. They are very meticulous and they love the compliance and admin component and going and doing the routine inspections, supporting the property manager, able to have that variety of being in a property, but also being independent to do admin and work alone. So great for a skill set for maybe a mother coming back into the workforce, maybe somebody, that enjoys that sort of lifestyle. And then from my side, the property manager carries all that people responsibility around the viewing, selecting. They've got the personal touch of that little finesse that they need, while the education and compliance side is all on what they do.
They probably hate doing inspections too.
Yeah. Well, the inspections just might take a little bit more of their time that they're not used to. So they're good at doing some other things. So as a team, they're actually supporting each other. And that's what Rentlink has achieved to grow. So that's how we can handle more growth of new properties coming on board. It's just the challenge I've faced is that owners are used to having one person, because that's what everybody does. Yeah. What I'm trying to teach them is, yes, you have your property manager who carries that responsibility, but you are going to hear from this inspection manager. And why it's important for you is because your property manager is not burning out. You're also getting someone that is so attentive that they're not going to miss corners. They're not going to be too quick to do that inspection and not document it quickly. So again, it's just trying to educate clients around what that looks like. Yeah. But that's our modern approach to property management, to overcome that burnout sort of phase that comes with the role, if it's not managed.
Having to do multiple things at once and lots of pressure.
Yeah.
And the phone never stops, all the rest
of
it.
Yeah.
Because like going back to the inspection side of things, right?
Yeah.
The one of the new rules is your house isn't insured if you don't have an inspection every 3 months.
3 months, and
or some insurance policies are 6 months, aren't they? I think ours is 6 months on.
So it depends on the insurance company, but a majority is 3 months. Yeah. And you tell me how fast 3 months goes.
Yeah, it's real quick. So so you're the owner person trying to go and do it yourself.
Yeah,
we're guilty of it. Like, oh shit, that's a bit overdue.
Well, like,
you're running at risk.
Literally just been Christmas and around, if you haven't done it in December, we're now in March, if you're not scheduling it, so I think for us, we've got the systems and understanding how we can make that, that cycle of, but 3 months comes around, it feels like yesterday we just went to that property, I
feel like those homeowners that they're just too attached to their investment, and then also it makes every little thing seem way more like way bigger than it should be, just because you're so emotionally attached to the fact that you spent all summer redoing the garden, even though they're now not taking care of it and it's getting wrecked. Because
gardens grow.
Yeah.
No, and that's frustrating as well. Like,
it is.
You
take care of all of that.
Yeah.
And seem like a person that's a property owner could trust.
Yeah.
To sort of.
And a team that, owners.
Finally, someone.
But I think our inspectors are our educators. So that's the difference, is they come in with a very proactive approach to not just identify things that a tenant may need to do or a homeowner needs to do. We're trying to think of that journey as, hey, look, your rental or investment, depending on what stage you are in your life, again, we're talking about owners have different financial obligations. Same goes for their maintenance plan. So we're trying to always protect their property. At the end of the day, what can we future-proof them? Hey, look, we're seeing signs that at the end of this tenancy, we're highlighting that you're going to need to do this, and it might be, hey, look, the curtains are now coming past their due date. Yes, they're manageable at the moment, but they're getting sun damaged. They're fading, or, they just need to be freshened up. How about we put that into that maintenance plan for it this time when we have a change, or if we're going to do a rent review and we could possibly include that as a sort of, hey, look, we're upgrading these curtains because you're going to have to do them anyway. Hey, look, let's kind of communicate that a little bit. So the tenant's kind of seeing a benefit as well. But time goes fast and people forget that a rental does need constant investment back, not just, hey, yes, you're getting rental income. You also need to put that back at certain areas to protect your investment, Yeah. So that's where we come in and just make sure it's not just looked after for today, it's looked after for that future, for whatever goal. It might be to sell, it might be to pass down to the family, whatever,
It's understanding what the owner's actually looking for, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah.
Because like we were talking before the podcast, you're saying that a lot of the people coming on your books now are people moving overseas, which I don't really think of too much. I was like, oh yeah, cool, they've got 10 houses to go overseas, but you're actually saying it's their own occupier.
Yeah.
Moving out of their family home to go overseas, and they want to rent their home, but they're going to be more attached to that, thinking I might move back in 6 months' time and I want my house to be as I left it, which might not always be the case. So that's where there'd be a lot more attachment, wouldn't there?
Yeah, and it's probably also understanding that journey. So for us, it's like, okay, cool, the journey is they're going to come back, or, hey, it is an investment. You know, we were saying that, you know, before we started, the typical investor, you know, that is the numbers sort of, you know, investor. We don't really see many of those these days. You know, we are looking at, you know, the mum and dad investor, so something for their future. A lot of, I guess, in the last couple of years, maybe FOMO has come through, and that was quite huge with the conversations I'm having with some owners about interest is hurting them. They're constantly having conversations to me about how we can keep their performance of their rental return, but their rent is already high in what the market can offer. So trying to find ways of how we can navigate around those very tough conversations around, what to do. And sometimes it's just giving them the guidance and then letting them do what, you know, they need to do. Yeah.
So let's rewind. So your Rentlink's 9 years?
Yeah, with me, yeah. So my older sister had the opportunity first, and so she could, with dad and her.
So is that where it started? So did Rentlink start from your family's portfolio?
Yes.
So we'll manage our own portfolio and put a management company in there?
Yes,
yeah.
And so no longer I have any of my parents' properties with me.
It's a bit rough. It's a little bit of a feud there, was it?
Yeah, well, they've gone into bigger things, I guess, moved into the next sector for their side, which was commercial. And I think that was their goal from now as time changes. So no, purely just, you know, all clientele. And I think that's what I'm proud of, is going through that journey and learning on the way. Look, I was fairly young coming into it. Look, I had the right skills. I know I'm a person that likes doing things right. I've got really good integrity. I do what I say I'm going to do. You know, I try and find different ways and always learn. So Rentlink's just evolved through trial and error, learning, being at BNI, growing and building my connections. Sometimes it's not, we're humans, sometimes it doesn't go to plan, but then you go, okay, what do I need to improve on from here? So then it's allowed me to identify things like the foundation of Rentlink is important. So last year was a huge team of not just the growth, but understanding my role as I can't continually work at this level and then not continue, you know, like kind of be
on the business, not in it anymore.
Yeah, and I was just doing so much day to day, and trying to cut that transition in my mind was so hard. But then I found it was just my systems and processes. So for me, if there was anything that anybody would take out of this, it's pretty much, you know, document anything. And, you know, people kind of laugh about that diary sort of thing, but you will look back on stuff and realize you might not have implemented it then, but when you look back, you're like, wow, I just didn't have the time or effort to do this task. But now that I'm ready, I'm going to, that was great. So I always think, for me, I always think past Rose, because present Rose always thinks of future Rose. So I'm always trying to adapt and challenge myself and have these, at the moment now with my team growing, have a document on the side of my screen where that just is my brain kind of going, oh, I've thought of this, because my brain's just always ticking and fluffing into certain cabinet files in there. So it allows me to just jot something down and then go, I can come back to that later, you know, and then from there carry on with what I'm dealing with my task that I'm doing, you know, and then going back at it. So last year, going back was a very fundamental growth and realising that I can't do it sustainable for my time, for my energy, for what Rentlink needed of me. So that's where I built the systems, processes, and the team. So over the last year, I've now grown the team to 5. And people have come and gone as they've, I've learnt from them and seen what has worked with different personalities, what the business needed, and then kind of developing more better structure around that as well. Yeah. Because
when you start a business, you get like generalists around you. Like, I need you to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And then as you start growing and growing, you're like, okay, like you've developed now, you've got property inspection and property manager as far as like these are 2 defined roles. Yeah. And that generalist might not have been able to go, well, actually, I'm going to go that way or that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they flop out and you bring the right people in.
Yeah. Where the responsibility used to fall on a property manager and it was like everything, but then burnout was just the end goal. Like really, it was just something that always got, you would just end up not knowing when to stop because you couldn't. Yeah. So this just allows a property manager and inspection manager to carry a little bit of load if, they need to take some time or have they've got a bit busy on that. They can kind of dip into that workload and then filter through. Which has been great. Yeah.
And how'd you go about? I have a bunch of questions. It's so interesting.
Fire
I'll just sit
through.
down and get comfortable. Nick's going to go now.
No, but the like, how'd you go about finding out which process is to work on, and like, what was the first system you implemented? And like, were you watching YouTube videos? Did you hire a coach? Did you ask a family member?
No, I think BNI has been a huge thing for a sounding board. A lot of people, you've got a wealth of a team of knowledgeable people in certain industries. So sometimes just running past some ideas. I felt like I used to be in my early years, like SpongeBob SquarePants, and just absorbing so much like a sponge to then filtering through what I needed. So then from there, I just kind of assessed where Rentlink was, what strategy needed, and then it was trial and error. Now, as I said, I'm a human, so not everything's perfect, but was able to implement different strategies around, okay, that has worked, that's proven to be successful. Great, awesome. Now I know that's my starting point there. And then as my team's grown, I'm a very open-minded person, so come to me and challenge me on stuff, because I'll challenge you on stuff. And that's allowed us to get even more perfecting of our service, which has been great for team members that have coming on board and being able to feel that they have a voice. But I'll always challenge.
Sweet.
The only person that, again, through BNI Connection was Caroline, who I don't know if you're aware of, but she's now moved to Australia. And she actually was very much involved in sort of processes and systems. And she's actually kind of, I think, really believed in what my vision was and just came in, was like, yes, good, go girl, like I can see where you're heading and this is the structure. So she kind of just allowed me to open my eyes of what the bigger picture could look like, because up until then, as I said, I was still day to day, and that's only been a year in the making of this massive transition. But I credit,
like you've done a lot of work in there, because when you're explaining the different roles and what type of person would be the perfect person to fill that role, you can tell you've done a lot of work in like describing what it is that you need and how to formulate that.
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm proud of, is that actually now I know who the right person fits into that role. So at the moment we're going through another hiring stage, and I've had over 147 applicants, so quite an overwhelming inquiry, but from me able to filter out with what skill set. So I don't, from experience that I've had, experienced property managers just come with a little bit of my way or the highway, and they're not very open. They love the idea of what Rentlink offers, but they always come in and they never kind of understand or appreciate what the team environment means. So I'm looking for always skills and transferable skills, and then the right personality, and then all of a sudden they just fit in. I just had a new team member start at the start of this year, just slotted in just perfectly, because personality, skill set, and I allow that induction time. I've learnt patience, and I've learnt that not everything gets done like that. So being able to have a very clear induction phase, checklist, show them, print it out, make sure it's binded. I was very proud I brought a binder last year. So like very organised right from the set. So the moment they're coming into this office in this environment, that expectation, what I was saying with relationships, having that expectation is clear from the start. So, and then all of a sudden they know how Rose operates, and then they want to be part of it. So
have you built visions and values for your business?
Yeah, so
visions and values?
And the values is just our core values is spoken just everyday language, which is why, for me, the 5 that we have is just incredible, because it's about what I use for my feedback with my team. It's used around different, feedback, good or challenging feedback that I need to present to a team member based off core values. So they're not just words off on our wall. It's something that's just lived and breathed and part of our weekly meetings, part of everything. We have We call ourselves the Powerpuff Girls. I don't know if you're aware.
I don't know that.
Powerpuff Girls.
The Powerpuff Girls was like a cartoon back in the early 2000s. Obviously, maybe in my childhood, like some schoolgirls that were like superheroes and just combated.
Like 5 of them, wasn't there?
Three, but colours. Then so our awards we have every 3 months is based off our core values, but they're shone in Bubbles, Buttercup, and Blossom, and those were the 3. And we just call ourselves the modern versions of the Powerpuff Girls in property management. So tackling each property as it comes. So just incorporating the values then has aligned with the right clientele to come in, and either they want to be part of this Rentlink experience or we're not the right agent for them.
Wrong energies don't fit.
So
trying to put the square peg into the round hole.
And also then again the team, if a new team member comes on board, those values, and so part of my interview phase is communicating what our values are and seeing the reaction or seeing if that aligns with them, because if that doesn't, everything we do in Rentlink is based off our core values.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but what are your 5
values? No, please do.
Put you on the spot, boom.
So we have positivity, transparency, communication, proactive, and one of my favorites is business focused. So for me, why I like that one the most, it just resonates really high among all the others, is because if we support Rentlink, we know that Rentlink supports us. So it means that each one of us, if we're doing our job to the best ability to everything, it actually comes back round and Rentlink supports us. So even for me, I always think of Rentlink as this higher self, and so it's not about me, it's about Rentlink. So everything I'm doing and communicating with my team is to help Rentlink, because I know Rentlink's going to support me if I'm doing what I need to. So that's why for me it just helps harness everybody's role into that whole team environment, and then communication. We are communicators. Like my team is just phenomenal. So
definitely sounds like you've been coached. Like
I know.
I need to bring you along to coach our team. Hey guys, remember how we've been telling you for the last year and a half to get your values in place? This is why.
And it was actually a book. I think my partner's uncle gave me this book, and I just started reading it. I read it while I was on holiday. It was an easy book to read, and it just allowed me to grasp a little bit more around the importance. And as my team was growing, I was like, this needs to be adapted. And then Caroline helped support that vision and talk and communicate what Rentlink was about. And then here we are now. It's just everything I say and talk is all based on our values. So
did the book have a name?
I want to say Traction.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll let you know after this, but I believe it was Traction. Yeah, and it was an easy read. That was what got me. It was just so relatable, and it talked in not just, hey, do your core values, you'll see the benefits. It incorporated a little bit more tone and relatable around a company going through some changes and with staff, and why conversations around your core values is important and valuable. And now it's just shaped that it's everyday language, and
getting it right from day one, like you said.
And so you're one of 5 kids. It's a massive family that would peel into it. And so you said your second oldest sister, or your oldest sister tried to start the Rentlink first. And then so you've got, how are you placed?
So I'm in the middle. Yep. So either I was always the third oldest or the third youngest, depending on where I was and what I was up to. But no, I'm really close with my older brother. He's actually the most closest. We're very similar, and I was very sportive, so very into rowing in my younger years, which was quite allowed a challenge, was great teamwork and discipline. But also I'm a person that doesn't do things by halves, so rowing was just perfect for me. My brother was a triathlete, so we just got on really well in terms of the sporty, and he's also in business. He owns Baker's Delight, Mount and Gate Par, and he's just a successful guy. And I think having that business relationship allows me to kind of go, hey, we can bounce ideas, we get each other. We're a walk and talk sort of characters, so we can pump out a lot of conversation when we're walking and talking. So
walk with me, come on.
I live around the block, but very inspiring. I think his goals and direction is just, and I think that's what highlights with me is having somebody that I can inspire to, and he digests a lot of that stuff. So he's kind of like my mentor, I guess, in some stages.
Great, he can come on the podcast
Yeah.
next.
He's very like accountable and structured and very business orientated, where I'm a bit more of the people side, you see. So yeah.
Cool. It's cool to have someone to soundboard off that's a family member.
Yes. Yeah.
Wicked.
Yeah.
So winding back, because I'm still intrigued, you took on Rentlink from your sister. So your sister, was it just your sister working in the business? when you took it on?
And my dad, yeah.
And they ran it for how long before you got involved?
I would say 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you came on, and it's been 9 years for you. So the company's about 11 years old.
Yeah.
Was it burnout?
She met a partner, and look, I don't think the right industry fitted for what what property management was about. There are times that it is very like the conversations you do have to have isn't sometimes the most pleasant, but for me it's just my job. I know that with my education in the legalities around what I can do, what I can't do is all just to the book. So that's my confidence I have for the job, because there's sometimes that isn't pleasant, but you've got to just realise I put my badge on, and that's for me making sure that it's just my job. It's not happening because of you, it's happening to you. So you touched on the education. Did you study? No, so just more around the industry itself. So we
straight from school into Rentlink, was it?
Yeah.
For those first jobs. So
and during school I did a little bit. My good family friends owned a motel here.
Still property. So all you've ever known is property. Basically, you woke up and you were painting when you were 2. As long as you could hold a paintbrush, you were doing something.
So as I said, I found the most rewarding and fitting career, and having a team even from there to grow. I just enjoy people. So then it's not become about property management. It's like people management, really. The property's just a nice component and a cherry on the top, really.
Without the people, you don't get the property. So it's exactly what it is. It's juggling personalities. Wow.
So the difference between you and your sister was the fact that she probably took things a little bit personally, and you could detach yourself from the job.
I guess so.
You've managed to stick at it.
I'd say that, and just being able to build trust probably a little bit more. I'm very transparent and always open to learning. I'm not kind of stuck in my ways, so able to just see things for a different perspective. So I've always got an open mind, and not just always stuck in this is what it has to be. Hence why my team, for my example, can challenge me, because I challenge them as well.
Sweet.
So you got 5 in your team. Historically, a manager runs like 100 houses or something. Is that sort of correct?
I guess you can manage as many properties as you want. It's how good you are. Because sometimes it's not about, like, from what I see, yes, the round number's always been about 100, but now we've got a lot of compliance side, a lot of legislation stuff that pops in. So you can manage 100 or more. Like my team, as we've structured it, a property manager can handle more, because the inspection manager actually gets a lot of what I call like the chore of compliance side done, while they can continually manage that people relationship. So they can manage more and enjoy what they do.
So do you almost need 2 inspectors to 1 relationship manager?
Yeah, well, in time, that's the ratio that works. And the great thing I've just happened this year is one of my inspectors have progressed into a property manager. So now they're taking over the Mount Papamoa side under their assistant property manager while they're in their entry level and have my guidance. But what I've enjoyed is seeing progression, and that's what I also like about Rentlink. And then, you can kind of move up there if that suits, but also you might be in a lifestyle with family commitments, or, hey, just where you are and what your skill set you're happy with. You don't need to progress anymore. We just become more a senior inspector. So it fits for the certain types of personalities. The property manager that we has now just transitioned, her personality is fabulous. She's now respects her inspection manager because she knows exactly where that has come from, and then she knows what the reports look like. She knows how to keep that team member accountable, and then it kind of transitions from there. So it's been a nice journey. That's my first one that's made it up into this.
And they can probably help new inspectors about the pressure of doing the inspections and what comes with that.
Yes.
They'll be able to help coach.
And as I was saying before, she's now just as I'm learning what that progression now looks like, I'm documenting it. So then the next person has a bit, I've said to her, like, please don't mind, you are my little, like, trial person. She's happy, you know, because she filters me through this feedback. So then I can help train somebody who goes through that phase a little bit more smoother. But we're just not at scale at the moment. So it just future-proofs Rentlink, you know. So, yeah.
So I've bought a house and I'm like, oh man, property investment's the get rich quick scheme. Like, do I just go buy any house? Like, how does the journey work for someone before they become a client for you? Do you have if someone comes to you and says, hey, I'm interested in having a few rentals, but I don't know where to start. Does anyone start that conversation with you, or they just go, hey, I've got this, help?
No, I think look, there's both, and it really depends on the openness of the client. You know, I think building your team and your network of people early on is so important. So connecting yourself with a good accountant, connecting yourself with a good lawyer and real estate agent, but also your property manager. People underestimate the power of a good property manager, because from what I see is we could add value in some floor plans that if you're looking for that new build, and I had a client with me, as I was saying earlier today, and we were just talking around how the floor plan with the garage space is actually unutilized. In terms of this double garage, it doesn't need to be double. The space here, as we can see on this floor plan, is a lot of area that's wasted and isn't going to add you value. Could you talk to the building company to make a single garage? You've still got your laundry facilities in there, but then you can add an extra room, another 2 rooms, or at least 1 room with maybe a butler's pantry, so to make it more executive, so you're getting a bit more higher rent, higher calibre of tenant, long-term, sort of approach. So it then comes back to what their journey is. So every investor or person looking to come into the property world, especially here in Tauranga, where it's become a lot of a hot property area for people maybe looking to live here in the future, they're buying something that's their journey, or hey, look, they know that the growth has happened here in Tauranga, they want to have a bit of that. What are they looking for? So for me, it's digesting back, what is this? What is your plan? What is this journey that you are wanting to achieve? Then we kind of help facilitate what that is. And offering free rental appraisals is a great opportunity to just be, hey, look, this is how much this could earn. This is the pros, this is the cons. Building a relationship with that property manager to be like, hey, look, the area, if you're out of town, hey, look, this area, the neighbour is, maybe off-putting for some prospective tenants. You might be able to look for this street, or, because there's certain pockets that we're aware of that might have a, less desirable location for prospective tenants as well. And the end goal is to have a long-term, stable tenant, really, that can look after it and, care for it and
not wreck it.
Yeah. Well, just call it home. And I think for us is finding that right tenant to suit, so it's always keeping a tenant front of mind of what are they wanting, and I'm finding a lot of, because of our cost of living, and that a lot of 2 bedrooms are actually really well sought after, because people are downgrading, right? Because they don't want the 3rd bedroom because they never use it. So a professional couple are sacrificing a bedroom, maybe also a bathroom, because of the cost. The 3 bedrooms have now increased in the rent size, so a 2 bedroom is a bit more attractive. But what that's allowed 2 bedrooms is to increase because of the value around 2 bedrooms.
That's what I was going to touch on that, because isn't historically the rent difference about $100 between a 2 and a 3 bed? Yeah,
well, now somebody was questioning me this the other day. So sit back. It's more, I think, the standard of a 3 bedroom, a 2 bedroom. It doesn't really, from what I'm seeing anymore, doesn't fit, because
you'd be a 2 bedroom townhouse that's brand new versus
or an executive home that is just so beautiful, that has key quality features that allow the rental price to reflect that. So,
but if it was like for like, there'd be a big difference.
Yeah,
right?
Let's say if we send a standard build, it's nothing flash, it's just 4 walls, and that, then you are looking, roughly. But even then, the demand for properties, and I think that's what's quite hard when we are coming to these viewings and there's so many people lining up. We just try to be as approachable as we can, so some of our properties don't even get advertised because we have somebody on our books that we've met at a viewing. So how important for a tenant to build relationship. Don't just think because you've missed out, you've got to build that relationship with that property manager. Now, don't feel that that's giving you permission to call them and constantly hound them and text them and email them. No, we're busy, but what you want to do is maybe stand out and maybe provide a cover letter, have a moment of the property manager's time at the viewing, build hey, this is who I am, or be honest about the home. I think a lot of people just say yes, 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 and then they ghost us. And we're like, you said it was good, we're following up because this could be suitable, and you're ghosting. So we have to go back to the drawing board. So just be honest. And again, being that transparency, core value is just saying, hey, look, we don't get offended. I say to prospective tenants, I don't care if you don't like this property.
It's not mine.
I don't personally, but what I want is to find you the right home. I want to make sure that you're happy. I don't know what furniture you've got, but how can I help you find the right home? Talk to us, and I think people forget, like, not just tenants but owners, we can't read your mind. Just talk to us and just have that open conversation to say how things are, how you're feeling. Great, we can then navigate and find a positive solution. Yeah.
So is there a real undersupply of housing still? You hear these horror stories of every house that goes up, there's 150 people apply.
And there is.
And I've gone to 10 homes and I haven't got any of them for the people looking for them. And
there is honestly still a lot of inquiry in that. But as I was saying before, some people don't even bother showing up or letting us know. But then also at the same time, you can have a huge amount of people, but some of them are going to meet your requirements as well. So for us, we're in an industry where we don't discriminate, where we have it like an open home, give everybody who has applied the opportunity to attend. But from there, we might know the suitability. We also like to know what they're looking for. Is it going to fit in with the neighbourhood? What the property offers? Because we're not going to have 5 people in a 1-bedroom home, and we're still seeing a lot of overcrowd because, again, the cost of living. So trying to navigate and, again, help to find the right home for them, where a 1-bedroom just doesn't sound ideal, you know what I mean? So
with the overcrowd, because obviously you do see a few homes that have got 2, 3, 4 people in a bedroom and stuff like that. Does that affect the healthy home side of things? Because obviously now you've got to have extraction fans. Gutters must run out to an actual gutter, not just onto the ground, and you've got to have the heat pump and all the rest of it underfloor and the.
Yes. Oh, you're well equipped. You're hired.
There's a couple of things I know about property. Yes. All those things, but does the overcrowding, is there actually a specific amount of people that can occupy a home, or is there no limit to that other than what the landlords?
Yeah, it actually comes back down to the tenancy agreement. So whatever the tenancy agreement comes, what's in the contract, it means if there is overcrowding and that it becomes a breach. And what tenants need to be aware of is just communicate. Look, you might have somebody that needs a transition into your home. Rather than get caught by your landlord or property manager, just say to them, there's a change, this is what's going to happen. If you're honest, it honestly is never an issue. But if we catch you, signs that our inspectors are seeing is maybe a few more beds in a room, or hey, look, a lot more movement, or water rates are being a lot of water consumption.
If they doubled, that would give it away, wouldn't it?
Yeah, or again, neighbours are so important to us, so they're our next set of eyes. So rather than just kind of hide, just talk, because most of the times, especially in our clientele that we deal with, they're actually amazing owners, they understand. A lot of them are a bit more pet friendly these days than what they used to be, probably because they've got pets themselves on that, but it's just
helps get the rent up too.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, people with furry animals, they care about them, and that is family. So, but I think the overcrowding, it becomes a breach, which isn't in a tenant's favour if you haven't asked for permission. So people are becoming more compliant around, and I know from our side, you've got a contract for a reason, so just talk. Yeah.
I found that when I was going for rentals, everyone saying, this is a few years back, saying that, you can't get a rental, it's too hard, especially if you've got a dog, because we had a dog, and we still have the dog, and and I just remember taking a photo, like a crack-up photo of the dog, and then putting it on the application and applying for it. And we got a house that strictly said no pets as the thing. And I just applied for it anyway with a picture of the dog saying, we have a dog. This is it.
I think a lot of our landlords, because we're the same, we think of it as you say no dogs because you don't want a Labrador in your backyard trying to dig under the fence and eating your plants. But when it's like a 5 kg dog, you're like, well, that's kind of like a cat, and it's like our dog, for example, was wool. So he doesn't even molt. So he's actually tidier than the cats. So what's the issue? As long as you've got some grass for him to go toilet.
And it's crazy to think this, but like I think there used to be a lot more like owners that were like yes to cats. To actually, cats can do quite a lot of damage, right?
They scratch everything. They
Scratch, but
paint
also
everything.
the urine is just like to get that out of the underlay and the floor.
Stink.
It just reeks. So people are now starting to understand, okay, actually it's not as bad to have dogs, because they're probably outside. It's, everything like that.
Yeah.
So, and it comes back down to an owner, what do they feel comfortable with? We then meet the dog, make sure the dog is...
I was just being transparent. And then it turned out that the property manager didn't, but the owner of the house that we applied for happened to have the exact same type of dog as us. And then we got the first property we applied for. That was the one that we wanted, and it said no dogs. And we've just been hearing all this chat about how you can't get the right house and no one will say yes. And it just turned out being transparent and just giving it a go.
Good dog, keeps the rabbits
Good dog.
down.
Yeah, keeps the rabbits down.
Well, it helps when the landlord's got the same sort of breed dog,
it was. It just was a jackpot. But you would never have known, and most people would never have applied because they've been like, oh, that says no dogs, we've got a dog, and just carried on, tried to find one that was pet friendly.
Fear of rejection.
Fear of rejection. But I was like, bugger it, I'll just apply for that one because that's what we want.
So, and again, just being open, and then the right property, I think right properties fit the right dog owners and everything like that. So,
very lucky.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But it was cool.
So where to for Rentlink? Are you going to take on the world? Is it going to be in a few towns around?
Yeah, I think at the moment Rentlink is very much what I call at this stage the baby. She still needs a lot of Rose input and perfecting around that structure. But I know what I've created and already split the Mount and Papamoa has its own side. So in time that will have its own branch, and then the Tauranga is in the transition of being split, again for portfolio size, just as we continually grow. And then once I've kind of got the systems kind of in motion, which is what I'm striving for, that's when it kind of is going to get leveraged out further. And how that looks is sort of in openness around if it becomes, somebody buys into a branch and we kind of co-op, or it becomes franchise. And I think I'm just weighing up what both options and going to be talking to a few businesses that have gone through that just to understand. So that's my next venture, is just to understand the pros and cons between both of that. But either way, I think my main priority is the service level for Rentlink doesn't dilute as it becomes on a scale. I want to ensure it's the right people with the right common goal, because I think I see a lot of property management companies just pop up and be franchised, and it just doesn't have that same touch.
That's where your values will come into play though, building that culture and making sure everyone's in tune.
Yeah.
For a franchise to work too, you've got to give. You have to be willing to just be there for every franchisee.
Yeah.
You can't just run your business and go, oh, you have a piece of it and do it. You have to be as much in their business.
Yes.
Because that's why so many franchisees fail, is they buy into franchises that there's no support. And
it's a structure, right? And I think that's what I've got in developing, is all of that processes so it can be implemented with me or without me, So I think that's my main thing, is just navigating around what that looks like. So just doing a bit more research for what suits Rentlink, but also I think for us, if that's, whatever that vision goes into, but also we're quite fortunate that our software allows us to go into the commercial sector. So that's my next opportunity, is if a commercial, once the residential, we just support what the brand is here, and we add the commercial component to it. So we can do both the management of commercial and residential, which is a really awesome opportunity. So kind of I just want to navigate what that looks like, but also we can easily do the other side as well. So, or both. Yeah, so.
How exciting.
It's your oyster.
Yeah.
Early days, isn't it?
Yeah, very early. And just watch this, I think last year was just the foundation of what the bigger picture looks like and the foundation around what Rentlink is now set on to then going forward and levelling up. 2024 is about levelling up. So,
well, what you've done the last 12 months, because I think last time I'd probably seen you in person, I thought there was only 2 in your team. Yeah. I went on your website, I was like, hang on a minute, there's 5? You want to do a podcast?
Yeah.
What's happened here?
Yeah. And also the amazing properties we manage. I think I credit to just the quality of, service we have, that we are managing some amazing properties, which is very humbling.
And how do you go about finding these properties?
Referrals, existing clients referring more people. I think our Google reviews, we're the highest Google reviews in property management here in Tauranga. We've got 175, and that has just added credibility to what we have. And then people meet us, and even I've had old tenants of mine, have brought their own home. Now they're travelling overseas and they've come directly back to us. So it's just become reputation, and I think we're just growing on what that is, which is exciting. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
It's good at starting at the right foundations, and it's like you're laying each brick, and then you're not so focused on growth that you're willing to sacrifice the culture.
Yeah.
So it all sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I think it fits no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. You're very much leading with your values, that your whole business cares about both sides of both parties in the equation, and it's obviously showing and it's paying off in dividends.
Yeah. So. Well, and last year we took 3 months off. We had to say no, and that was hard to new inquiry, new business coming on. It was the only odd exception of people coming in, but for 3 months, because I needed to focus on the team. And if I tried growing it while I was looking after the team, the service would have been less, and for me that is just not who I am. So I had to close the doors a little over that period, but what it's allowed me is the foundation with the team has allowed multiple more. So now I've got a team member that is just actively able to, and she got an owner with for $1,000 a week per rent, and she did that all on her own. So, going and teaching and having that sort of experience to then being able to have her in the community and have these amazing owners believe in Rentlink, she had created that and nurtured that relationship, which I was immensely proud of that achievement, to see another team member just reaching that level, which was, rewarding of the 3 months that we closed the doors to then, have somebody so confidently. Yeah.
So you actually closed the doors for 3 months to build the team?
Yeah.
Well, so they still looked after all their existing proproperties, the ins and outs.
Yes.
But didn't bring up
just new inquiry. I just couldn't handle that on top of the workload that we were, trying to manage a new team. Again, trying to set the team expectations. So they weren't stressed. They weren't seeing a boss that was stressed. And then they knew that I was focusing on them, so then we knew what the end goal was. And they support me immensely. I think they were very proud and excited to hear about me going on this podcast. They're like, more excited than I was, and I was just slightly nervous, but they were just like, yes, this is what our community needs, is to hear how awesome you are. And I was like, thanks, very humbled.
We've had one other guest on my other podcast, The Action Playbook, and you probably enjoy it. It's Mark Taylor from MLT Builders.
Oh, cool.
And same thing, he went into COVID. He was a small builder doing like decks and the odd fence, and he had 2 guys kind of working with him, went into COVID, worried he was going to lose his business, got a coach on, spent the whole COVID period working on systems in his business, and now he's got Wednesdays a mark day. He doesn't even show up to work. All his tradies like to actually go on the job site. His apprentices never come ask what they need to do, because they know they've got a checklist every day.
Yeah.
And he's got like 2 massive big renovations for basically like multi-million-dollar sort of job sites going on, and he's hardly even in his business now. All around systematization. And he's done that in, say, a 3 window. You've done it in a 1 window, and it just constantly reinforces how systems are important, and they get you out of your business so you can work on your business. Yeah. You look at a Big Mac, you go anywhere in the world, you get the same thing. McDonald's is the pinnacle of systems.
Yes.
McDonald's are one of the biggest businesses.
Yes.
They've done it off systems. People need systems. Systems.
systems and processes, and then you can keep people accountable for that, you know. So that's inspo though. Like, my team are aware I'm starting my Wednesdays. Wednesdays is Rose Day. So just
Wednesday's a day, eh?
Yeah, Wednesday's a day. Well, it allows you some window between both of the other, but enough to just try and let them do what they need to, and I can focus on what I need to within the business. So
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Look at Wednesdays, let's go.
Cool, yeah.
Are there any other golden nuggets that you think you need to portray? Like, what's someone who's they've got a property manager that's not so good? What do you recommend that they do to try and, like, if they're just stuck in a contract? I think for me, when I have owners in that sort of predicament, is understanding their concerns, because I like to always try and say, hey, look, have you actually addressed it with your current property manager? Because that allows me to understand who they are as a person. Some things are too far gone, and I completely are aware of certain things that happen in our industry, which, you know, for a client's point of view is unacceptable. But understanding what their concerns are, nurturing them through that. And then it's pretty much we take care of all that stress and hassle of the paperwork. Once they, again, have that clear expectation of how to work with us, what is expected, what the team is about, then once we're signed, we take care of all that paperwork. We go directly and we keep the tenant front of mind, because the tenant is all now going through a transition. So it's not just the owner going through that, it's now the tenant is part of that, and how do we nurture that relationship? So, but there is circumstances that are just out of everybody's control. Sometimes it's a personality clash. This owner doesn't get on with this property manager, but sometimes it's because of deeper issues that have happened. And sometimes I shake my head and I just can't believe what some owners actually put up with, and they think it's normal until they jump on board and they're like, wow, we didn't realise, you know, property management should be like this. And it's like, you pay your property manager for a reason. You shouldn't be doing the stress and the hard work for your property manager. They should be informing you. So that's where, again, our proactive core value is important, because we're being more aware for the client to make them before they communicate back to us.
It's important that your client's actually hands off too, though, right? Like if you go, hey, here's your management fee, and you, okay, cool, going back to doing the curtains and stuff, well, when do I need to call you? Just say, well, look, if it's going to cost us more than $500, maybe give us a call. Otherwise, if a light bulb needs repairing or there's a plumbing issue, just get it done for them. Okay, cool. And then it just works like clockwork. They get an invoice, you go, yep, it's all fair, makes sense, versus it's going to be how much? $120? Oh, I can't do it this week. That's where all the tensions are going to start happening, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Because you got a tenant that's going, well, hang on, mate, I'm paying you $700 a week, and power box isn't working. Yes, we've got cold showers or whatever it might be. You got to.
And that's just informing owners clear expectation from the start around how that maintenance plan looks like. You know, having their best interest in knowing when we can, you know, do those certain things and when is needed. I think as well, like a sort of thing is around your system, around what platforms you're using. We're now in a very technology based where we can keep our customer service, because a lot of things are getting done behind the scenes. So we've got a very great AI maintenance platform that we've transitioned into as of last year in October. That's been a game changer. So it actually has a tenant with a QR code in their kitchen sink, under their kitchen bench, and they can scan it and inform us of any maintenance at any point. But it actually troubleshoots. So it talks to a chat box and it identifies. So by the time it gets put into our email box, it's allowed us to understand what this tenant has done, to then prompt us to say, hey, look, they've actually sorted it themselves because they've been aware of the, let's say it's the waste disposal's not working, right?
I had this one the other day.
See, very relatable. Get the waste disposal out. It's not tenant friendly. But anyway, maybe, you know, so it tells them to test the button, reset. Have you put anything through it?
Wazzles the button underneath.
See, so from our side, it saves maybe, a team member that might not be well equipped into knowing that. But this AI has done it all for us, and then it's saved us time. But more importantly, the tenant has now fixed their own issue. So it allows a little bit more transparency around what it is, and if we had to refer back to it, we've got now this troubleshoot to say what they've done to allow us to get it fixed or not. So
sounds amazing.
Well, use technology to our advantage, right? Where we've got so many tools and apps and everything, and I think for me another thing is always question what you're doing and your why around it. So if you're finding something taking up your time, so recently my mind just like blew because we get a lot of inquiries for prospective tenants. Now we try and nurture that relationship. Yes, there is a lot of, it's personalised to a degree, but there is a lot of copy and paste because I can't respond to everybody the same way, but it's enough to know, hey, it's their name, everything. We just found, and I talked to my software provider and said, look, there's got to be a better way. Like, I'm doing a lot. I had over 100 inquiries over that night. I was like, there's got to be a better way. She's like, yes, there is. So we did a troubleshoot, and it's now I get none of those emails. It's directed them straight into this rule. So my email platform has now got rules set up to do certain things when an email comes in that has that, tag to it and that, which has just now been game changer. So now I don't even have to see it, and I know it's taken care of. So then for me that nugget is just challenge what you're doing and know that could there be a more cost effective in your time way of handling it? The answer is probably yes. So now I'm just going through everything and going, can I question this task? Okay, how do I make this task more automated? Okay, what do I need to do here? So just again perfecting our time so we can manage more properties, but also keep that personal interaction as well. So
that's the tip to business owners: just get out of your own way.
Your
ego is not your amigo. Everyone's like, I need to do this. Oh, I need to take control of this. No, you don't.
No. And look at your software and is there something better on the market that can be better, more used for your setup, whatever business, so always just looking. And sometimes people forget that picking up a phone call and talking to that accounts manager or going into I'm finding a lot more webinars coming up. So again, going and finding out that information, it's so available for us, but be willing to hear it, and challenge what's happening and can it actually be implemented and you can do it better,
So would you latch on to the AI like chatbot that people can scan and then solve their problems? How do you find that one?
So they're a company called Tapi, and they're Australian and New Zealand based, and they've been kind of at my door for a wee while trying to get my business, and I was like, no, not interested. And I actually had the big boss come into our office to kind of go, hey, look, run me through it. And he's like, this is what you're missing. And I think from my side, my team and I were frustrating around maintenance and knowing that there was a better way. We had been offered something. We were promised and moved forward with this other software that told us it could do this. To reality, it was still a dinosaur, what I call, And so I was very skeptical. So it took them a lot to persuade me, and I kind of I said, look, I want to talk to people that are currently using it. I just want to make sure because I've gone through this experience, and I changed over, and I was like overnight, like, why haven't I done this sooner? So I was just a bit in my own bubble around it, not realizing that it was actually me costing this openness around changing because I had been burnt in the past. But he was selling me something that was actually incredible, knowing the background between, someone who had been in property management, I think, and someone with IT. So together they could actually create this amazing system, and it's just proven success. I also look a lot with what Australians do, and they are just one step ahead of property management over in Australia compared to New Zealand.
They do everything well over in Aussie.
They just are incredible, and just the structure. Hence why, as what we call the pods, which is the inspection and property manager, I was aware of it. I did it, and then I was listening, and it's like common in Australia, and I was like, oh, I'm already doing it. This is great. Yeah. So clearly they've identified this is what the industry needs, and just look at their trends. I look at everything over what they do to then go, okay, what do I need to do here? Because they're always one step ahead. Yeah. So this AI has just been incredible. Yeah.
Sounds like that AI was like when Xero was created for accountants. Like, what? You've just made my life so easy.
Yeah.
You mean they do it all? And
yeah. But I still charge the same.
Self-checkouts.
Yeah. So, but again, it's allowing for me, my team to be aware that, yes, this may cancel this much admin, but what it allows us to do is to be more personable. So then they're still getting this service of, I think we got lost in the transition of doing a lot in email, kind of keeping things documented. We forgot about phones. So then last year was kind of going, picking up a phone is actually really good. And I think we all missed it, but we were just so caught into this email threads that we realised, we've actually forgotten the most fundamental one. So now it's just educating our team now about how the power of a phone call can take away
those relationships.
And it takes away tone, but you get to build a connection around, hey, what's, Fred the dog up to you? Because a property manager, you build this great relationship with them. You become like family, you really have that trust component to their lives, really. So
you touched on it there, though, and I think I interrupted you. That takes away the tone. It's the tonality of an email gets read differently. Yes. Like, make your bed. Oh, Mum's yelling at me, make your bed. Versus, hey, can you make your bed? We've got an open home this weekend.
Yes.
And, it's a very different conversation. But when you read something, you're like, I get that with my mum sometimes. I'm like, she's like real abrupt text. I'm like, are you mad at me?
Yes. Can you imagine, and people don't know where to put exclamation marks, or they don't know how to take cap locks off. I've got clients with different generations till you realise, or again, some of them have a tone even when you talk to them. And when you take away what the voice sounds like, it actually is what they're talking about is great, right? But their tone comes across like they're having a go at you, and then you're like, what's going on? But the content they're saying is, it's just their tone.
I bloody love your business. It's so good. I'm going to send you some flowers. Really appreciate it. What's your favourite bottle of wine?
More clients like that,
More clients
but again, it's just understanding, and that's, again, the people skills, right?
Oh, this has been fun.
Yeah, it's been a great podcast. You've filled in all the blanks and given people so many golden nuggets to walk away with, I reckon. Yeah. Anyone listening to it thinking about kind of following your path or along the same sort of lines that's dealing with, I don't know, growing a business would find a lot of value in there.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure to be here. And as I said, it's crazy to believe how far I've come to. You kind of have an open discussion with people about it. So it's nice to be able to share this with you guys and your audience, and just kind of feel like, I have got something, like my brain screwed on, I actually am a decent human that's going for a good achievement forward, for the community and for what my team is. So
I think we'll end it on the question that we used to ask in early Community Days, which is, obviously you've come a fair way in your business. So what would be some advice you would have given yourself starting out in business now with with how far you've come, especially in the last 12 months, even if it's just advice for 24 months ago?
It is a good question. I think for me, we kind of have covered it around that, that documentation of processes and systems.
So do it sooner.
And just even, it doesn't have to be pretty. It could be just on a notebook that is just there, or it could be typed up if that's the way. But I think if I look back, a lot of my journey I used to just do naturally myself until I had a team, and then I was like, and if I felt like I just documented right from the start what that process was, no matter what business you're in, I think that is just key. It will keep you moving forward. It will help you implement changes. It would help you review and systemize even better, because at the end of the day, we don't want to be doing just a job 9 to 5. We're here to build a lifestyle, and part of that is, hey, you have to have team, and unless that's what you do want to have, is have a job. But for me, I'm trying to build that lifestyle, and this is all part of it. So systemizing is key. From now, what I look back of what my perception of myself was, I'm just an organised person. But now I've uncovered what organised is for me is structure, and then being able to, perfect that and always be open with that sort of changes. Yeah.
That's a solid finish. How do people find you?
Finish.
How do people find us? Obviously, Rentlink, our website, has a lot of information, and clearly my team, which would highlight a little bit more about them. So we've got Facebook, Rentlink Property Management, and Instagram, Rentlink Property Management. But if you'd like to email me, my email details are all on my website. So
easy as that. Oh, well, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Felt more official at the end, Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, and I think a lot of people will get a lot from this. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Cheers.